If you find yourself constantly rolling out your glutes and your hips, or you're constantly stretching the glute area because you have a deep, nagging butt pain and discomfort, this video is for you. If you are someone with deep butt pain, then you know how much of a pain in the butt it can really be. As someone who's personally experienced it, I fully understand what that sensation feels like and how it can create a barrier to fitness, especially when it comes to healing prolapse, leaking, and diastasis recti. In today's video, I'm going to give you 3 starter exercises that you can do to start eliminating some of that discomfort, open up this space back there so you can truly start training your glutes to support your pelvic floor so you can start seeing progress in your prolapse, leaking, and DR. So what you're going to need or to have nearby for these exercises, I've got a foam roller. Now, a lot of people tell me all the time that the foam roller is way too stiff and hard. So we're going to start with a bath towel, then we'll bring it up to either a yoga mat or a Pilates ball, and then into the foam roller. Then we will use that foam roller for our second exercise. And then our third exercise, we're going to use a yoga block and a bench for support. I'm going to walk you through a breathing exercise. So breathing to open up that space back there. And then we're going to go into a pullback to create even more space and length back there. Then we're going to go into an activation and strengthening exercise to really strengthen the glutes without your butt gripping and hanging on for dear life. So what you can do with this sequence is you can either add it as part of your warm up, or you can do it as a literal mini session on the days that you're not training, or incorporate it 2 to 3 times a week until you can get some relief within that deep glute area. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So our very first exercise is called a pelvis smash. So what we are essentially doing is we're trying to open up this space in the back that is causing that pain. And I like to think of it, one of my mentors explained a water bottle analogy. I wish I had my water bottle here, but I didn't grab it. So when you have a water bottle that is completely crushed, the only way to get the dents out is from going inside. And one way we can go inside with the internal dents is with our breath. So that's what we're doing with this very first exercise, is we're trying to release some of those dents. So rather than constantly trying to roll out the area, we really want to go internally and release it with positional breathing to help open up that space. So I want you to think you're going to lie down on your hip bone, but making sure not to hit any sensitive spots. So you're definitely going to play around with this. Like I said, we're going to start with a bath towel, and then we're going to work our way up, because using the foam roller is an advanced tactic, and I don't want you to hurt yourself. So please be mindful of what your body truly needs and appreciates with this movement. You want to think you're going to lie on to the foam roller, or like I said, we're going to start with that bath towel. You're starting on that hip bone, so you're not on your abdominals and you're not on your legs, okay? And so this is going to open up this space back here to allow the pelvis to go into internal rotation. And as you breathe, it's going to help elongate that muscle. And so we're going to start with that bath towel. So I'm literally going to place it underneath my pelvis, and I'm going to have that bottom leg out nice and long. Now, you can use other props. I'm going to use the yoga block for head support, and then I might use the ball to place underneath my knee. I'm going to come down, and I'm going to reach my arm over, and I'm going to shift ever so slightly over top. This is going to open up the back space of the bottom pelvis. So as I shift, this top one is going into more external rotation. That's perfectly fine, because we're going to go into both sides. We're really focusing on the bottom hip here and that opening that space. And I'm going to have you bring your arm out in front of you, and you're just going to inhale. And then exhale, nice, soft, and gently. So the idea is that as you inhale, you want to think suction the tongue to the roof of the mouth. Inhale through your nose. I like to say about 4 counts in. And you really want to think that 360 breath, but by lying in this position, it helps to open up that space back there. So you can even take this hand and see, okay, let me feel if it's nice and relaxed, and let me see if you can feel the breath expanding back there. It might take a couple tries, and that's perfectly fine. The more rigid this is, the more you're going to get. So if you feel okay with the bath towel, then you're going to take it to a foam, or not a foam roller yet. You're going to take it to your mat. This is going to be a little bit harder, and you're just going to do the same thing. You're going to place it here, and you're going to use that top leg is going to be all the way down, and then this top knee is going to be supported. You can use the yoga block for head support, and like I said, you could bring this arm out in front, or you could take it on the back to feel that sensation. So again, you really want to think about breathing into that back posterior hip As you inhale, nice expansion, and then that nice, soft, gentle exhale. Once you feel like you're able to do that, I know a lot of women are not able to, so that's why I like to give you guys option. Then you can come onto the foam roller. You're going to scoot yourself down very carefully, okay? Then you're going to come down, use that yoga block for head support. You're going to take this leg out in front. You can rest this leg out, or you can use another yoga block for support, okay? But main focus is that bottom leg is nice and relaxed. And you're going to inhale into those spaces. And exhale, nice, soft, and gently. So you're going to progress yourself. You're not going to immediately go to the foam roller. You have been warned. Especially if you have osteoporosis or osteopenia, you want to avoid the foam roller, okay? We want to use those softer structures like the bath towel or the yoga mat or the Pilates ball. We do not want to use the foam roller if that is you. Otherwise, if you feel good and you don't have osteoporosis or osteopenia, then you can go into the bath towel, the yoga mat, and then into the foam roller when you feel like it's appropriate for you. All right. So now let's talk about strategy. You're going to use that position and you're going to inhale about 5 breaths on each side. You can do this 2 to 3 times, and then we'll move into the next exercise. So again, you can use this as your positional breathing. So this is also good for those of you that have posterior pelvic floor tightness. So tightness right in the back of the rectum, especially if you're experiencing constipation. Great for that, great for SI joint pain, great for that deep butt pain. So this positional breathing is really a good exercise for a lot of different things. So I really do love this exercise as part of my warm-up diaphragmatic breathing positional drill. Now, like I said, definitely want to progress as appropriate for your body and your limitations. Okay, next exercise. So once we've done our breathing on both of those, on both sides, then you're going to come into a sideline position. You're going to place the foam roller in between your knees. You're going to come to a 90 degrees. You're going to place the yoga block underneath your head, and you're going to place that opposite arm out. You're going to hover those abdominals up off the floor. You can either place your arm out, or you can place it on your hip to help your hip move. Now, I want you to think you're going to press this top knee into the foam roller. The bottom leg is not doing anything. It is staying put. Abs are hovered off the floor, and you're going to press into the foam roller and shift forward. So external rotation of that top hip, internal rotation of the bottom hip. Then you're going to press down and pull back. So now internal rotation of the top hip, external rotation of the bottom hip. Now let's talk about breathing. You can inhale here as you pull back on that top knee, and you could feel that opening. Take that hand, you could feel the opening, feel the breath going into that spot, and then exhale as you push forward. So think push forward and pull back. It is very subtle. We are moving slowly. We are not whipping through this. This is not a fast-paced exercise. We're really trying to continue to create more space in the posterior pelvis here, in that hip and glute area. It should feel good. It should not feel painful. You definitely want to slow down. Now you might get some abdominals on board. That's perfectly normal. That's what we want to support our system. So again, think pressing into the foam roller to push forward, and then pressing into it to pull back. Now you could take your hand to help guide that hip, push forward, and then pull back. You want this bottom hip on the ground. It is not moving. The pelvis is going into internal rotation on the bottom as you push forward, and then external rotation as you pull back, opposite for that other hip. So you're going to do about 8 reps on each side. Again, same thing, 2 to 3 rounds apiece. All right, our final exercise is a hip thrust block squeeze. So the reason that we're adding a block squeeze to this is because of the fact that when we squeeze something in the middle or in between our legs, this automatically activates those adductors. And that automatically helps to pick up and pull on the front of the pelvic floor, and it also helps to open up the back of the pelvic floor. Doing this with a hip thrust helps to turn off those deep hip rotators that are clenching and tucking and holding on for dear life in any kind of glute exercise. So that's why I love adding the block squeeze, especially when I'm first starting to work with women, because I do find that most women do have more posterior tightness than anything. So adding in that block squeeze can really help working on the glutes, but also opening up the posterior posterior chain to help get rid of some of those discomforts and that tension. All right, so you want to come to a space that's about your broad line. This is a little high for me, so choosing something that has some height to it. If you start low and then continuously move your way up. Glute bridges are great with a block squeeze, but I find that the hip thrust, that elevation, really provides more lengthening and opening with that deficit. So if you don't have something, you can use your couch, you can use a cushioned chair, something of the sort to bring in that elevation, okay? So you want to think rib cage is stacked. So I want to have that nice stacked position. I don't want to be dumping into my pelvis with my ribs flared up. I want to have that nice stacked position. I also don't want to be clenching and touching my glutes to the point where I'm defeating the purpose of this exercise. So I want you to have that nice stack because of your core. So you want to think inhale here, drop down, and then exhale, squeeze the yoga block as you come up. You want to think about pressing through the feet to push your floor away. So inhale here, exhale, push up. So squeeze that block as you come up. Again, inhale here, and then exhale, squeeze to come up, all right? So notice that my abdominals are flat, my rib cage is connected with my pelvis. I'm not flaring up at the top, I'm tucked under, I'm squeezing that block to really open up, but also working through those glutes. Now, you can add weight to that if you want. I would start with just body weight. You can do anywhere from 10 to 20 reps, but we don't want to be too excessive because I don't want you to feel like, oh my gosh, my glutes are on fire to the point of that deep butt pain coming back. We really want to make sure that we're squeezing that block, working through that squeeze at the top, because that's really going to help open up through the pelvis and the back. Because as you squeeze, it's going to open up this space back here, which is going to help support all of the other work that we did with the other two exercises. So I would say maybe let's start with 10 to 15, body weight only, 2 to 3 times. Then maybe the next week you add in 1 dumbbell to increase it. Once that deep irritation goes away, then you can chuck the block. But this would be one of those exercises that you can work on the glutes, which we need to help stabilize the pelvis, to stabilize the pelvic floor and your core, but also working through some posterior tension. All right, so those are the 3 exercises. Like I said, I would do 2 to 3 rounds of each. And then you would add that either as part of your warm-up, or you can add that as your own little mini sequence. If you're ready for a full strength training program where it takes you from point A to point B, it talks about all these different barriers that you might experience in your body, especially when it comes to healing prolapse, leaking, and diastasis recti. Make sure to check out the All Access Fit Mom membership, where you can get access to all of my core and pelvic floor and strength training programs with dumbbells at home. If you have any questions, please post them down below. Make sure to like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next video.